Hello and welcome. This is Jay with Lunacle Tarot, and this video is way overdue. Today I'm going to show you my entire collection, all the tarot and oracle decks that I have. And apologies for a slightly distorted image, I had to zoom out a little bit because even with that, I cannot fit all of them in the frame. And the reason for today's video is that I'm going to do a bit of a spring clean because I'm just running out of space, and I'm also feeling that I developed a certain liking for particular tarot deck style, and I'm going to say goodbye to some of these decks. In this video I'll share with you ones I really like, the ones I use daily, and the ones that I'm probably gonna let go. So let's have a look at this together. So these are the decks I use daily. So Radiant White, that became my upgrade from RWS. I tried some other ones and this is by far my favorite. I have a pouch for it that I use all the time, and just a really nice deck to work with, and it's been through a lot. Refill shuffles and everything, and artwork on it is quite beautiful. It doesn't deviate from RWS at all, and I think if anything it's probably gives it more accuracy and clarity. My next favorite is Light Seer Tarot. I honestly didn't expect to like this deck that much, but I've been working with it for a while and people really like the imagery there. And I thought originally that maybe it wasn't balanced, but it's actually a pretty well made deck. It's very gentle. The imagery there removes some of the harsh cards from RWS, and it's probably because of that, but also quite a modern and quite a spiritual deck in a lot of ways. Next one up is Machete Tarot, and I honestly don't know why this deck didn't get that much recognition because the imagery is quite striking on this one. Just have a look at this. And also there is this effect of getting really close to the faces, so when you work with this deck you really feel like you experiencing the characters. A new addition to the workhorse list of decks is Old Style Tarot. I've reviewed it recently and really like the imagery. It was created by a Russian psychologist, Alexander Ray, and I've got a review on my channel if you want to have a look at the artwork. And last but not least, there's a Morgan Greer Tarot. It's actually a deck created in the 70s, and the design is pretty good with this one. Similar thing, there's a bit of a zoom in into the characters here, and it's got this very classic 70s look, almost like these movie posters. I really like this deck. Now I'm going to show you some of the decks that I don't use daily, but I still enjoy having my collection and use them every now and then. Dandelion Tarot, probably everyone's favorite. It did so well on this channel. I've got close to 2,000 views on this deck at the time of recording this video. And I think it's a new classic, I would say, if we give it enough time. This deck has a very modern imagery. I did in comparison with a Light Seer Tarot, and I think they both deserve a special recognition and a place in your collection if you like the imagery. The Medieval Feathers Tarot. I love this deck so much. It's a little bit on the peepish side, but at the same time the quality is impeccable, and I don't think I've seen a deck with a similar quality. So this is based on I think 13 or 14 old decks from 15 and 1600s, and I haven't seen anything similar to this. They put the nomination for the Carter Award this year, and I really hope they win. My next all-time favorite is the Starman Tarot. My tarot teacher recommended me to get one, and I really love this deck. The imagery in it, everything is amazing. I think they have another edition that just came out, and I'm not going to get that one, but I think I got the advanced kit, and I have a review on this channel as well. It's an older deck, but it's totally worth it if you want to add it to your collection. It's quite unique. It's got its own artistic twist and amazing history of connection of the artist with the work of David Bowie. Now, I did mention to you that I like to bring some of the older decks to the picture because they deserve recognition, and I think there's really good quality work out there that's just been forgotten. This one, I'm going to make a video about this. This is the only deck that I know of that was made for a movie. It's one of the James Bond movies. And then US Games bought the rights to it and they started selling it. And this is the only deck that I know that did this. If you know of any similar deck that was featured in the movie and then became a thing on its own, please let me know. I'm always on a hunt of new interesting ideas. This deck doesn't need an introduction to a lot of people. The Robin Wood Tarot, another classic. Hanson Roberts Tarot as well. Very interesting imagery if you haven't seen this one. And its own style. It's quite unique. Mr. Knight Templar doesn't belong here yet. You're gonna get your chance, buddy. It's a very, very new deck comparing to the other ones. But this one, the Tarot of the Cat People, is another interesting deck. I mentioned it recently in my best decks for cat lovers. Quite unique history, created in 1984 and has its own history. There were 2 books written based on the lore of this deck. That's quite an interesting deck to add to your collection. Next 4 decks, you probably have seen them if you watch my channel. I did a review recently of best decks for tarot for cat lovers. So it was this one there that made its debut, and it was a novelty item, and it's got a lot of views on Amazon. The Grimalkin's Curious Cat Tarot, really cool deck. This is created by the same author who created the Crow's Tarot. And the Cat's Eye Tarot is another classic from the 90s, created by an actual veterinarian who specializes on cats. Pretty amazing deck. And the Mystical Cat's Tarot, a bit of a history with this one. You will see later, I'll show you. I have a pirate fake version of this deck. It was like a tiny little box and I made a vow that I'm gonna get the original one, and I finally did it. Love this deck. I would probably say that the paper of the cardstock on the cards is a little bit on the thinner side, but the artwork on it is really good. I think if you are one of the people who love cats, you definitely want to consider getting one of these. Now the next 5 decks I'm going to show you there were part of my 5 most masculine decks video that I created a while back. The Initiatory Golden Dawn Tarot. A cool thing about this deck, it was created by an artist who's never seen a tarot deck before, and he was given a text called Liberty, which was left by the Golden Dawn. And in a way, it repeats the story of Pamela Coleman Smith, who also created her deck based on descriptions, but she hasn't seen the actual text. She only had some names that Arthur Waite gave her. And this deck, it's quite unique. If you look at the artwork and Golden Tea document, you can see how the RWS could have taken a completely different route. So I really like it because of that. Very masculine imagery here too. The Knight Templar is back. Yeah, so this is a newer deck. Uses Knight Templar lore. Quite a cool deck, very masculine, and it's got, I think, place in the collection of someone who wants to put something like this together. Now the next ones are also Los Scarabeo deck. All those 4 are Los Scarabeo. Runic Tarot, really cool deck, created by the same author who created this deck too. It's obviously based on Nordic mythology, and very masculine deck as well, quite a dark, but it's got a really cool cards as well, like this one. I quite like it. This is one of my favorite cards from a deck. Heaven and Earth Tarot, slightly less masculine, more balanced deck, and I think it's one of my favorites. Very easy to use for daily reads. Quite an interesting artwork, very subtle. The deck looks really serious, good for shadow work or daily readings. And I put it in my rotation every now and then when I feel like coming back to the imagery again. Right, and this one, Divine Masculine Healing Oracle. It's one of the rare oracle cards that actually focused on masculine energy. Another cool deck created by an Australian publisher. It's quite unique too. It's got some really famous names, and they are mentioned here. And what I like about this deck, it's also got this like a waxy coating, and the quality is quite good. If you ever come across Blue Angel Publishing or Rockpool Publishers, they are really decent quality decks generally. I'm yet to come across the one that did not have good print quality. The next 3 decks I'm going to show you, they are Los Scarabeo decks. By the way, the decks I'm showing you right now, they all have a review video for them. So if you want to see the full deck, you just go and do a search and you'll find the full review with the flip through at the end. So it's if you're curious about this. So Astral Tarot, one of the first Los Scarabeo decks I reviewed. Beautiful golden gilding, look at that, right? It just has such a luxurious feel to it. It shuffles really well because it's the cards got that really high gloss. I think it shuffles a little bit too well, to be honest, because the cards is really slippery, but once you get a hang of it, they're quite nice. And look at the design as well. It's so ethereal, and it's meant to be the astral world representation. The cards almost glowing with this golden gilding. It's almost like it's been placed on the cards as well. I quite like this deck, and it's one of the most popular review videos on my channel. Then there's Tarot Illuminati. It's a second edition. The design of this deck is quite unique. See how the box opens here, and the cardstock. I think cardstock on this edition is much better than the original one, but that's my view. It's very matte finish, but still golden gilding. And in a way, design is very similar to what I just showed you with the Astral Tarot somehow. Perhaps it's a Los Scarabeo style. It is quite unique. So Illuminati Tarot, I use it every now and then to do readings and recordings of readings. Druidic Tarot, another Los Scarabeo deck, probably least favorite of my Los Scarabeo collection, and just because of artwork. It got this very AI feel to it. I actually made a video about how to tell AI deck, and I recorded a comparison. I generated an AI deck and showed it with this one, but they're very similar looking AI decks here. Also, the other thing, the cards are quite thin as well. I would say they can do better. And the masculine tarot decks that I showed you, I think they are of better quality. The next couple of decks I'll show you. So this actually was meant to be in another pile, the Sacred Rose Tarot. It's a classic deck from the 80s, and there's a lot of charm in these decks because there's no AI, and a lot of this work had to be created by painting the actual cards or drawing them. They got this really cool imagery. I think this deck's gonna have a comeback. Look at this. It's all dreamy-like, and there's so much character in each card while they're still part of the story of major and minor arcana. I think it's a really cool deck, and I'm glad that this company still produces them. Now, if you guys want to get to the Tarot de Marseille, I would say this is probably one of the best Tarot de Marseille decks out there. It was created by Dr. Yoav Ben-Dov, and the CBD stands for Conver Ben-Dov. This is actually a deck that was created based on one of the most preserved versions of tarot, and it also comes with a book which is also really good. It teaches you how to interpret tarot decks based on not just imagery but the positions as well, if cards looking at each other, and read them as a cohesive story. So I think if you want to get the deck, I suggest to get the book as well, because you do need a book with Tarot de Marseille. It's a deck that has its own system based on numerology, and you cannot cut corners with this one like you could do with RWS with intuitive reading. I would say we're quite lucky to have RWS decks, because learning this is hard work, and I prefer to read with RWS, but I think one day I may rediscover it. I think it's quite a interesting system, and it has a lot of followers. Right, next I'm going to show you a couple of decks that end up in my collection relatively recently, but I haven't played with it much. So this deck has a lot of reviews, and I still haven't warmed up to it yet. I'm going to keep it in my collection. So this is completely hand-drawn, and it's a black and white deck, and it's probably one of the reasons why I am sort of delaying learning it, because I quite like the color in my decks, but it's quite unique. It was created by someone who reads tarot, and a lot of reviews saying that this deck was created by someone who understands tarot as well. And that's why I think it's a deck that I am planning to introduce to my rotation if I warm up enough to it. Pagan Underworlds is a quite unique deck as well. I think it was picked by MIT to be preserved as a quite unique artifact, and the artwork on it is quite good. It's quite subtle, but it has a lot of depth to it. I haven't played with it much. I got it maybe a month ago. The artwork and the presentation is quite unique, and if you decide to get one of these, they're not cheap, but I think it's worth it. And I also suggest getting a book, because you probably want to get the companion book to understand the ideas. Though it is RWS based, it's got its own flavor. Tempest Tarot deck initially started as a Kickstarter. I reviewed this deck on my channel. It doesn't have a lot of followers, and I think it's because the artwork is quite subtle, but at the same time I think it's a really cool deck. I haven't played with it as much as I should have, and I think I'm going to introduce it to my rotation at some point. The next two decks created by the same persons, Kim Kranz, and I believe this was the original one, the Animal Spirit, and I have a pocket version of it, and this is Wild Unknown. Also quite a unique deck. I haven't played with it much, I'm saving it for later, but it's going to be definitely something I want to explore in the next few months. These two decks were created by Australian publisher, the Rockpool Publishing. Amazing quality. Starting with this one, it's got a ribbon there and the cards. While quality is really good with this deck, I haven't connected with it that well, but I still want to keep it because I think maybe it will warm up to me, or I'll warm up to it. Quite a unique imagery. The quality of card is quite good as well. It's matte finish with this silver holographic like gilding on it as well. It's Mythologica Finica, quite a unique deck as based on Finnish mythology. If you collect folklore based decks, this is quite unique. They haven't just copied RWS, but they reworked the whole major and minor arcana based on Finnish lore, and it's quite deep and unique. They replaced some of the characters, or created some of the characters based on Finnish lore, and then they're not the same. The hero journey is still present. That's what I really like about this deck. I don't use it that often, but I think it's a good deck to have in your collection. You can, every now and then you can get it out and play with it a little bit. Speaking of folklore, this is a Slavic based deck, the Tarot of the Golden Wheel. And I quite like it. There's a lot of characters there I recognize from my childhood. A really nice sunny looking cards. I think there's a lot of yellow and red colors here, and I do like it. There's quite a beautiful imagery there. The Tower of the Divine is probably internet darling. Quite a unique deck. Every card here has a story from different parts of the world. I think it's good to expand your horizons. Quite unique. And it also comes with a smaller book here, but there is a book with all the fairy tale stories you can buy online. Back to the Future, a novelty deck. To be honest, I just like the movie. I don't use this deck a lot for readings, but I do think that they did a good job with creating the lore and structure mapped it to the movie. So it's not just using the characters to generate sales. They did do a good job at modeling the structure of a deck based on major and minor arcana, hero journey on some of the characters from the trilogy. And this is a recent addition to my collection, Magical Hours Tarot. It's becoming another very popular deck. I've got a few reviews, and while it's very feminine based decks, it's sort of a feminine goddess. It's got a quite unique structure to it. The cards are mapped to time of the day and magical or medicine plants, and I haven't seen anything like this before. The artwork on it is quite good as well. It was designed by two Italians. The artwork is beautiful. The card quality is amazing. So I think this is one of those decks that you probably want to add to your collection. It was published by US Games, and while I have it in my collection, I'm actually not actively using it and probably won't. It's just a really cool deck to have in your collection, just because I don't do journaling with cards, or I'm not really planning to do a bit of a ethnobotanics or use different phases of a day. I use tarot in a pretty simple way, and I think this is probably something quite unique. So what do you think of the collection so far? Do you have the same cards in your collection? Anything that you like, same as me, or maybe you didn't like some of them? And by the way, these are decks that I haven't even unpacked yet, but they've been sitting there for a bit, and I'm super excited about them. This one arrived today, so I'm gonna be publishing the video soon. Looking at the artwork, I think it's something I really wanted to have in my collection. It's got an oracle feel to it too, and this is a Kickstarter project originally, if I'm not mistaken. So this one doesn't need an introduction. I think it's quite a popular deck now on the internet. The Ethereal Visions by Matt Hughes. I'm super excited about this one. And this one, this is a cool deck. This is Robert M. Place, and I thought that I could never be able to afford one of these decks because they out of print so fast, and they're quite expensive, like $400, $500, which I don't think I want to spend that much on a deck. But I got this one. There's a few of this 6th edition decks, the Alchemical Tarot, and I haven't even opened it yet, but I'm looking forward to it because I'm a big fan of Robert's work. Quite like his style of writing. He's objective and he's got a wealth of experience in tarot. So this is going to be a really good deck to review and also work with it. Right now I'm going to show you some of the decks that I think I'm going to part my ways with, and some of them got into the 5 decks that I regret buying, and some are probably for other reasons, but let me just walk you through what they are and why. Fairy Tale Tarot, it's quite a good quality deck, but for some reason it just doesn't connect with me, and more I think about it, it's probably not the deck I'll be using on a daily basis, so I'm gonna have to part ways with it. Though none of the decks I'll be showing you, probably maybe for exception of a couple, including the fake decks, have anything necessarily wrong with them. The print quality of some of them are just amazing. It's just more that I have not connected with those decks. It's probably going to be in that category, Rockpool Publishing. Quite a cool Oracle deck. Just the color scheme and the cards themselves just doesn't resonate with me. Similar with this, with Oracle decks, I just have this constant search and I could never find a good one. And if you can recommend me an Oracle deck based on the style of the tarot decks that I reviewed, please do me a favor and drop me a message in the comments below, but I would love to hear from you. So this is another one of those decks that have an amazing production quality. So this is from Rockpool Publishing as well. I don't know if I've ever seen the bronze color gilding, but this deck has it. I did not connect with this deck at all. It's got some really strange choice of the animals, like a dinosaur and a zebra, probably not bad, but it also has like PG style photos or images where naked ladies just lying around on close to these animals, and I'm not quite sure what's happening there. Like this one here, dragon, as far as I know, is not an actual animal. And yeah, I made this is another appearance of the naked cameo. I'm not sure if anyone really loved this deck, but for me, just sitting on the shelf. So I'm gonna part my ways, and hopefully it'll find an owner who will connect with it and gonna have a great time reading it. This is one of the Kickstarter projects. My Kickstarter journey is just at the beginning, so there's some really good decks I have coming. This one is not one of them, though I know there are some fans. Just didn't connect with the artwork, I think, that much as I expected. And I'm still gonna play with it, but I'm a little bit lukewarm to it now. So now this deck here is the biggest box I have seen with tarot. I mean, this is just huge. Let's just to give a comparison. This is the size of the Radiant White Tarot. This is the box. Quite a good packaging, but look at this too. Huge book, right? Here as well. I mean, it's massive. It's got a poem for each card, and this is a really cool story about James, how he came idea with the deck when he was let go of his work, and this became his next creative outlet that I hope made him money. Now, the cards themselves, the quality of deck is strange enough. This kind came up straight away. They haven't been cut properly. Like, look at this one here. And there is a lot of speculations that this deck was like created by AI. And if you check out the author's Instagram account, there's a few images there that were AI generated. So you can be your own judge, I guess, but my choice of letting go of this deck, nothing to do with AI, it's more to do with whether I connect with them or not. And this one, unfortunately, has been sitting there. I don't really use it that much. The Cats Rule the Earth, really cool deck. Didn't connect with it just because of the faces of the cats. But I also know that a lot of you do like this deck. So, as I said, these decks, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that I did not connect with them. And some people found these quite cute. It's got its own color palette, which I think is beautiful too. If you like it, if it's a cup of tea. All right, the next lot, Angel Tarot. Very unique deck and really cool implementation of design and the stock, the gilding, but not my cup of tea. I initially was going to review it and decided not to. I just not really connect with, don't connect with the whole concept of angels in a tarot sense, and the font on these cards is so small. I had to use my glasses whenever I work with them. The Whispers of Time. I'm on the fence with this deck, and let me know what your thoughts are. I know some of you already got it. It's a really new deck. I played with it for a little bit and I don't know if I like the imagery. It's quite dark, I want to say, or just because maybe the faces there, they don't have a lot of expressions. I find them difficult to connect with. But I also know some of you do like this deck. I'm keeping it for my collection for now, but I'm gonna have to play with it a little bit and see if I want to keep it. If you have this deck, let me know how you use it. I'm curious what your experience is like, and if you watched my full review, what you think of it. This one is another in a maybe pile, the Storyteller Tarot by David De Pascal. I find that the suits are quite disjointed and they got their own vibe to them. Other than that, the deck looks pretty interesting. I mean, the quality of work is quite good. It just, I think for me, this deck lacks a cohesion. Not just the suits, but also individual cards. They seem to be very separate, and that's why I haven't really used it much. I also find that if a deck was created by someone who, let's say, worked in television or a comic book artist, sometimes it doesn't translate well into tarot world. And I don't know if it's a pattern, and I'll keep an eye, maybe I will change my mind. But so far the decks that I have seen, they look pretty, but from a tarot perspective, we're not really hitting the mark. I don't know if it was your experience as well. This is another cute deck that I quite like. It's got this like a hippie vibe to it. I did review it on my channel. Comes with an extra altar, but again, just didn't connect with it. I think it's one of those decks that are really cool to look at, but if you start working with it, yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm on the fence with this one. It's definitely not in a let go pile, but I will have to see if I can warm up to it. The Tarot of the Cosmic Seed is another one of those unique decks that look very nice. Really good card stock. Look at that as well, blue gilding. I don't think you've seen that much of it on the cards. It's a college-like artwork. And this is another deck that, while I like the imagery, I don't really use it for reading. Tarot of Dracula. It's another one of those good production quality decks, but has a lot of issues. And if I'm not mistaken, this is also created by an animator. A lot of peepish cards. The monsters are pretty scary looking. And there's a bit of a lore with this deck. I would say that artistically, it's a really cool deck. Intuitively, difficult to read. Nice attempt. I think it has a lot of attention just because of how cool the design is as well. But for a tarot reader, I don't know. And also, I'm not a big fan of gothic looking decks or anything with monsters or really dark decks. And it's probably also, I'm a little bit biased. The Galactic Star Tarot, beautiful execution from Hay House. I did a full review of his deck. But this deck feels to me like a part of a training course, because the creators, they actually do run a lot of trainings and they have their own manifestation system, I want to say. But I didn't really like the artwork that much. It's a very confusing deck to me, and it mixes really modern sci-fi look with something that a little bit out of touch with reality, I think, and hence I'm not a big fan of this deck, but I'm sure it has its own followers. This interesting deck, First Aid for Broken Hearts. Also, this deck is suspected to be AI generated just because of lack of similar imagery on the artist's Instagram account. I haven't verified it, but working with image generations like Midjourney, I would say this deck does have an AI feel to it, just because of some strange positioning of some of the objects, and also things like the Emperor here is a little boy, things like that. This deck has so many inconsistencies in its design, though it has its followers. On my channel, it's quite a popular video, and if you have one of these decks, I'm curious about your experience with it. How do you find it? This is meant to be a help deck, a healing deck. and perhaps that's the way it's supposed to be used. And I find it's less versatile, let's say, than RWS or any of the RWS inspired decks. Right, Modern Witch Tarot. I had an idea of creating a video where I would compare most popular decks on Amazon, and that's how I got the Modern Witch Tarot. But I don't connect with the deck. I think other than being a video project, this is probably not a deck I want to have in my collection. That just not going to use it. So interestingly enough, this is a studio that created the Unveiled Tarot, and I think the quality is very similar between these two decks. Midnight Magic. This is deck of mushrooms, and I made a video about it. I don't really connect with the imagery. I think it's an amazing artwork, but at the same time, for tarot reading, I think it's got very limited applications. Universal Tarot. Really wanted to like this deck. I came across this deck images in one of the tarot books that I was reading, and when I looked at it, I was like, wow, this is really good. And then I got it, and I started laughing at some of the images. Like there's a horse image that just stuck out to me, and I couldn't let go. I ended up using the Radiant Tarot, so this is going to be finding itself a new home. The Golden Dream Tarot. It's quite an interesting deck in a way that it's got a lot of gold. And this is one of my first Kickstarter purchases. I now know more about what to look for in a deck when I do my research. And if I was buying it today, I probably wouldn't go for it. Quite an interesting deck. Overall, I would say it wasn't too bad for the first Kickstarter. Right, the next lot. If you have seen the video I made about 15 decks I bought for $25, these are the part of that. If you watch the video, you would know the problem with these decks, that they have a smell. They were stored next to incense sticks, and because of that, there's a lot of residual, yeah. I kept these decks in a bag that I brought them with, and they actually started transferring the smell to the bag. So it's quite strong. Now, one of you pointed out that there are a couple of decks there that are no longer in print, these two, because of Doreen Virtue and changing her views on tarot. And I know that some of them, I think she did a collaboration where her name was taken off the decks. So I'm gonna try to recover them. And this is gonna be my next video I'll be publishing. I wanted to finish this one before we go into experimenting with baking soda and coffee. But these came from that hole. And if you wanna have a look, there is a video on my channel that shows what I got in these, in that particular hole. And this next lot came with another haul I got for $100. So this was, I think, 19 decks. Unfortunately, I got a few fakes in that haul, and these are the AliExpress fakes. And remember I mentioned that I got the Mystical Cats Tarot. This is the fake one that I got. It's actually a tin. I don't know if they even have a tin, and it's completely in Mandarin. So even writings on the cards is in Mandarin. It's quite funny. Now, out of that lot, I think this was actually Doreen Virtue. If I'm not mistaken, this one and this one were published with her before, and now it's only Radley Valentine names on it. Out of this lot, I do like the DC Tarot, and I actually wanted to make a video with a comic book type of tarot. I already have a deck which is kind of closely sitting to it, and also the anime tarot is quite nice, but I'm not a big fan of anime, so I don't know if I'll be exploring that. And these two decks came completely new. They were in a wrapper when I got that whole. If you want to find the video on my channel, I brought the whole thing and I just unpacked it on camera without seeing decks before. This is another unique deck. I think it's probably one of the biggest books that I have seen, and even bigger book. Look at that. It's got a lot of fans on the internet as well. But out of this lot, I think I'm going to let go most of those decks. Probably going to keep these two. And also, I did mention to you that the angel concept in tarot decks is not something I am very familiar with. So I'm kind of on the fence if I want to keep these, and also depends if I'm able to do a physical cleansing for the decks that came in the last haul. Perhaps I'll keep them, because I think these two, they sort of go really well together. But yeah, I'm still deciding on that. So maybe you can give me some advice on these, but I'm definitely going to be letting go. And if you are in Sydney, because I have a second copy of this deck, I'm happy to give it to one of my subscribers. Let me know. So this is my entire collection. Do you have any similar decks in yours? How big is your collection? Are you over 100? Are you planning to get more decks? How are you dealing with space, and what's your strategy for bringing new decks and letting the old ones that no longer work for you go? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to know. That's it for today's video. If you got something out of it, feel free to subscribe. And if you'd like to support what I do, buy me a coffee or look at other things to help, you'll find everything you need in the description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.